Today, Dr. Jim Harris is signed up, and I understand that he is here. And so, Dr. Harris, thank you for joining us. And we have the materials you submitted in our binders. I've had a chance to review those. And so the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Jim Harris. By way of background, I'm ex-FDA, ex-pharma, and trained as a toxicologist. I'm currently the Chief Scientific Officer of Vatex, a company founded to address the prescription drug abuse crisis, addiction caused by medical care, diversion, and the national black market for medications. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Principal Deputy Director Tabak for making repeated requests that I present our case to you today. I appreciate the courage and wisdom needed to show the agency's ugly side rather than sweep it under the rug. No one should walk away from this presentation feeling good about America's prospects or our federal agency's abilities to solve emergent problems. These arrest photos show the quick progression of a young lady just out of high school as she flows down the pipeline of addiction. Because pills diverted to the streets are efficiently hijacking our youth, which she clearly represents, we'll call her Miss America. Prescription drug abuse has been declared an emergency, a crisis, and an epidemic by various federal agencies, notably the CDC. In 2012, Vatex naively thought that NIDA would shepherd our initial application through the review process because NIDA staff were very complimentary of our new approach to the crisis. New mechanisms, new thinking, all new. Our first application was submitted in July 2012. As shown in the graph, this application, a phase 1 of limited duration and funding level, received very low scores. The reviewers were making judgments on the phase 1 submission based on the information, activities, budgets, and timelines that would be expected as a part of a subsequent phase 2 application. By the way, this is SBIR. It also became clear to us that the NIH review process was married to a mentality of slow motion, submit, edit, submit cycles, such that the form of the application was more important than the function of the content or the urgency of the problem. Hence, perfect is the enemy of the good. When the plainly obvious form over function conclusion was reported to NIDA, we were startled to find that a senior NIDA official took this personally and became exceptionally emotional regarding our criticism. Our feedback, standard in the business world, has surely had an impact on the outcome of this case. Because NIDA is because NIH is among the few sources of R&D funds for pre-revenue companies, and because we continued to naively think that NIDA wants to solve the crisis by acting quickly and testing many mechanisms simultaneously, we licked our wounds and prepared another application that smartly reacted to our initial failure. This time, we assembled a well-regarded clinical and technical team for a combined phase 1 and phase 2 application. The fast-track application format allowed us the budget, the time, and the room to describe our clinical plans, to delineate many important testable hypotheses, and to fully explain our business case. Meanwhile, during the same period, Miss America is devolving. Our second application was a smashing success, highly regarded and strongly recommended by the reviewers who read it, except that it was a failure. Along with the slides and text, you will find our annotated summary statement at tab 3, proving that one reviewer did not read our application but torpedoed it anyway. This is not surprising given that a majority of the reviewers recruited by NIDA for this panel received funds from pharma, and that Vatex, if successful, will harm pharma, from which I came, by reducing sales. What is inexplicable is that NIDA fought long and hard to subvert the opinions of the reviewers who read the application, and instead to emphasize the opinion of this one reviewer who did not read the application. Inexplicable. Many details remain to be discussed, but you will need to ask questions so as to extend my time. Vatex is likely dead in the water. We only have funds to last until approximately September, and we only have one potential source of oxygen on the horizon. These are tough times for pre-revenue companies that seek investment to solve problems that seem hard. Conversely, over 1,000 FART apps are available in the Apple Store. NIDA will hardly talk to us, but they do tell us that we are free to submit a phase 1, putting us back where we began. More than 24 months have elapsed. Meanwhile, America and Miss America devolve further. I have so much more to tell you, so please ask questions. NIH must develop a separate set of rules for emergent healthcare crises declared by other agencies. Based on what we've seen, NIH cannot be trusted to declare its own emergencies. At minimum, these separate rules must address the fast repair of defective reviews. In our case presented here, throwing out reviewer 1 for not reading the application is obvious and reasonable, and given the gravity of the crisis, expected by the public. Currently, NIH has no repair mechanism for defective reviews that is in any way timely. There are time-sensitive healthcare issues out there. Based on the evidence we have in hand, again, please ask questions, I don't trust NIH as far as I can throw it. They have the money, but I suggest that these emergent reviews be outsourced to an external organization. NIDA is sick. The details and outcome of our case are inexplicable. The public must be cautioned to avoid giving NIDA the benefit of the doubt. Specifically, we have found conditions within NIDA that make it ripe for malfeasance. For example, we possess documentation of an undiscovered felony perpetrated by a senior NIDA official involved in this case. Next, NIDA have taken extreme measures to deflect the conflict of interest and process gaps we discovered. Again, please ask questions so that we can extend my time and provide more details. If OIG, anyone with whistleblowing advice, or concerned citizens viewing the replay of this meeting would like to reach me, my number is 276-633-0099. I'm not sure that Miss America can be saved. For all we know, she will die an early and tragic death. Others are joining her now. Criminals and addicts have infiltrated our medical system to supply the black market and bleed our economy. This quote from Vermont's Governor Shumlin says it better than I can. We've all got to roll up our sleeves and get involved because in the most industrious, productive, and imaginative democracy in the world, I maintain that this particular health crisis is the one that can destroy America's quality of life if we keep doing business the way we're doing it." End of quote. I shall be eager to answer your questions, to stay here as long as there is interest, and to turn over evidence to external investigators with subpoena powers. Please note that bad behavior within NIH is rarely reported with a level of detail that is actionable because scientists are unwilling to risk their funding. This is a go-along-to-get-along culture. Vatex is taking this first of several go-public steps because we agree with Governor Shumlin. Thank you.
Dr. Harris, thank you very, very much for your comments. I'm aware that you went to a great deal of effort to be here today. Let me just say on behalf of the SMRB that we're very anxious to hear all sides of these issues, and your presentation will certainly be carefully considered. And I know that Dr. Collins, Dr. Tabak have encouraged us to try to hear all aspects of these complex issues, and you've certainly raised one. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bill, do you want to comment?
Can you briefly tell us the essence of what the governor is doing in Vermont? There's been quite a lot of publicity about it, but I don't really know the components of the program.
So the strategy across America is pretty uniform as far as prevention. It's mostly at the end of the downstream end of the pipeline of addiction. So it's mostly about naloxone, trying to rescue people that have overdosed, et cetera, et cetera. The federal focus and the NIDA focus, frankly, mostly ignores the upstream end of the addiction pipeline. That is, keeping pills out of middle schools, keeping pills out of high schools, basically supply reduction and also discovery of diversion and early discovery of iatrogenic addiction. No one's working on that except for us. The federal response at the upstream portion of the pipeline is mostly education. I don't know why there's such resistance to try new things.
Others? If Not, as I said, Dr. Harris, we will certainly take into consideration the points you've made, and if we have follow-up, we'll be back with you. I believe that's the only